Again? Sure. I just died after the spawn wave. Hmm. I guess we have time to brush up on some lore, yeah? While I'm no lore expert myself, I think the most interesting thing about GD's world is how it's partly told through stories. I want to get through 3 perks today, but I'll still spare time to read them fully before I start talking about them. Also, I'll briefly go over how each perk story relates to its usage in game. Alright, let's get started. 750 meters, Rook. 1. Confirm. 800 meters, Mortician. 3. Confirmed. Rush first shot, 2 to finish. 700 meters, Soldat. 1. Confirm. 650 meters, Lancer. 2. Unsure. Should have aimed at a less armored part. 750 meters, Soldat. 1. Failed. Vanguard obstruction. 550 meters, Officer. 1. Confirm. Easy headshot. 950 meters. Soldat. 1. Confirm. Stars aligned for this one. 850 meters. Vanguard. 2. Failed. Should have been more patient. 700 meters. Jaeger. 1. Confirm. 650 meters. Lancer. 1. Unsure. Never tell with these guys. 700 meters. Mortician. 1. Confirm. So I want to start off with one of the simpler perks to talk about. This is just about a sniper sniping people. Arguably, it doesn't really have a story that begins and ends. It's more of a list. But that begs the question, how can this perk stand out? For me, it's a combination of the unique challenges GD offers in both lore and gameplay, with a professional, reflective narrator. Obviously, the narrator finds hitting farther targets more difficult. Killing this soldat at 950 meters required the stars to align for them. Yet, with what we know about the classes in GD, the armor and protection given to Lancers and Vanguards are a unique challenge that the narrator has to account for. The opposite is true for this officer. They never wear helmets, after all. In general, choosing better shots, choosing how many shots to fire, remaining patient, all of this gives off the impression that there's a lot of things to account for on the GD battlefield. A sniper has to stay vigilant in Gun Knight Cave Warfare land. Is any of this close to using Marksman in game? Probably not, but it might be fun to LARP using this perk. I need to wash my hands. The thought ran across his mind over and over. The obsession, it doesn't end. Sometimes he asks himself if it was just compulsion or something else. Maybe something was wrong with him. I need to wash my hands, he said to himself, looking at the broken mirror in the infirmary. A mortician came over to him, giving him a shot of the green liquid. I need to wash my hands, the man said to the doctor. The doctor nodded, signaling over a wash basin next to his bed. I need to wash my hands, said the pouches over my waist. He removed his rig, gently placing them beside the table, before opening them one by one, removing the disembodied hands of dissenters. This one gives me two-sentence horror vibes, you know? I need to wash my hands, said the hand amputator. Just a silly thought I had. Anyway, the most standout part for me is how repetition is used to build up the twist in the last lines. Of course, the phrase, I need to wash my hands, takes on a new sinister meaning when enough context is revealed. Part of the drama comes from the use of em dashes here to break up and slow down the text for jumping into the reveal. Also, I don't think this twist comes out of nowhere. This line, looking at the broken mirror in the infirmary, says to me that whatever information the narrator is providing may not reflect the full situation in the story. On top of that, when a mortician injects the narrator with a mysterious substance, I get even more of a sense that the narrator is either physically or mentally unwell, further adding to the narrator's unreliability. By the time we get to the pouches over their waist, we probably already know that something is amiss, and we become suspicious of how the pouches are personified here. All of these lines serve to slowly unravel the narrator's decrepit mental state in preparation for the final fanatical reveal. When you decide to pick up Butcher, you're basically asked to become a disturbed killer thirsting to collect human trophies out of your enemies. Makes sense for someone who gets morale for skinning people alive. I saw her while we were rummaging through the aftermath. It was hard to recognize her from the grisly scene, but something told me it was her, even before I checked her dog tags. My best friend in the world, ever since we were kids. When we were conscripted at the time, into the same unit, it felt like destiny. And now here she was, lying in a pool of half-dried blood on the ground, nothing more than a corpse. I always saw her as the sister I never had. We looked so alike at times. People called us twins, or even switched up our names in school. But despite our superficial similarities, she was always better than me at anything we did. And she did anything I did. People liked her more than me. She had some sort of natural charisma and talent that I didn't seem to have. A lot of people would cry at her death. Nobody would cry at mine. I reached for her dog tags. Sometimes I still hear her voice in the dark when the lamps are out. Out of all the Perk stories, I'd say Apparition has to be my favorite. Basically, the narrator describes 2 points of their lives: pre-conscriptment and post-conscriptment. Before the war, the narrator is a social outcast, at least compared to their friend, who had some sort of natural charisma and talent that the narrator didn't seem to have. Yet at the same time, they are extremely close, destined to be around each other. The context shifts once the war begins, and this is the important part, now everything is about survival. If the narrator died, nobody would cry for them, but they didn't. In fact, being in the background, never catching anyone's attention, the narrator was destined to live. Unlike before, the narrator's reclusive habits are incredibly useful for the current environment. Compare this to their friend, a natural charisma which effectively attracts people to you. Doesn't sound fit for war, does it? The narrator's friend becomes nothing more than a corpse, nothing in the eyes of war. I want to remind us of the importance of endings when it comes to stories like these. I reached for her dog tags. Sometimes I still hear her voice in the dark when the lamps are out. For me, these lines bring us back to how our two characters, despite their differences, need to be together in order to be complete. One half shines in peacetime, the other festers in war. Like yin and yang, these opposites balance each other out. When the narrator takes the dog tags, the two are together once more, now having a reminder of their lost second half. One of the reasons I like this one so much is how much it's integrated into the playstyle of Apparition. When the lamp is on, you're basically just a regular soldier, probably trying to rely on others to make sure you can get a kill. But once you do get a kill, a taste of the war, you could say, now you're a lone flanker, looking to distance yourself from your team and remain unknown to the enemy. Both parts of the story harmoniously in one perk. And that's my analysis of GD perks. I hope I was able to showcase the storytelling side of JD and talk about how the lore is written. And honestly, there's a ton of interesting stories to think about from all sorts of media. You just have to be on the lookout for them. Have anything to add to discussion? Want to see me cover more perks? Just leave me a comment. Ah, there's one waves here. Have a very nice day.